What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show presented by Bet Online. The Blazers lose in Toronto 117-115 to cap off a three-game road trip in which they go 0-3. We'll have you covered for the post-game show. And I mean it this time. I'm not trying to go longer than about an hour to an hour and a half, as we are in the middle of our Sundays, and I got football to enjoy, and I want to forget about this game because it was a forgettable one. Before we get into the breakdown for today, let's thank Bet Online once again. You can use that promo code BELIEVE to receive 50% rewards. The Blazers were a 3-point underdog today, lose by 10. Toronto was the right pick on Bet Online, and you can use that promo code for parlays, which are fun. Live betting and football if you want to get into some football fun, since basketball isn't too fun right now. Check out Bet Online. Anyway, all right, so 24 turnovers for the Blazers in this one. They play the starters heavy minutes. The bench has 3 points. The Blazers have the only bench with less than 1,000 points this year. And yeah, I mean, it was a valiant effort. Dame broke out of his slump, which was good to see. I'll go off about Dame in a little bit and all the Dame haters that are just absolutely foolish. But yeah, so Dame has a decent game. The starters were okay, competitive. The bench was awful. Keon Johnson in his first 4 minutes was a -15, and he was terrible on both ends of the court. Made a couple of the worst defensive mistakes I've seen all season, which is not what you expect out of Keon Johnson. And GP2 was supposed to play today. He was probable, and then he's out. So I am less and less confident on him being able to fix anything, given his injury issues or him not wanting to play through pain or whatever the deal is right now. So anyway, Eric, what is your takeaways from today?
Yeah, I think this game was a microcosm of everything that's possibly wrong with this team. Obviously, the turnovers, 24, especially 7 from Dame, just absolutely kills you, especially when they took advantage. I think they had close to 30 points off turnovers. And then you have no one off your bench that's competent. I feel like if we just had a Gary Payton, once again, we're talking about this game very differently when we start having to make substitutions. And, some of the starters have to play a little less minutes, so maybe they're a little fresher for the fourth quarter stretch. I felt like I was really encouraged by the game plan to start this game. We were forcing them into a lot of mid-range shots, and I think that's a good strategy. And on the other end, we were playing through Nurk in the post, and we had some really good action off of that, several good cuts, the first one by Jeremy, and then we hit several shooters out of it for three-pointers. And Toronto calls a timeout. Immediately goes to Siakam, who is inexplicably on being guarded by Damian Lillard and Anthony Simons multiple possessions in a row. He scores easily over them. And then we start going ISO heavy and stop moving the ball, stop playing through Nurk on offense. And all of a sudden we're down double digits. It makes no sense to me. So everything in this game is just magnifying what we've been talking about all season, in my opinion.
Yep. It's a little weird to focus more on the offense than the defense in terms of struggles, but that's been the struggle for the Blazers lately, and today it wasn't a good defensive game, but it was probably an even worse offensive game. So I kind of want to focus a little bit more on the offense than we normally would, man. I mean, this offense is supposed to be the strength of the team, and it's just an absolute struggle right now. But as I look at things, outside of the turnovers, which the turnovers is a collective thing. It's no one player to blame. The only guy who didn't turn over the ball today was Jeremy Grant. That played more than 4 minutes. He didn't turn over the ball, but he's not somebody who handled the ball. He didn't have an assist either. And he might have been our worst, outside of turnovers, might have been our worst offensive player today. Jeremy Grant was 4 for 11, 1 for 6 from 3. 5 for 6 from the free throw line, though. Only 14 points. Needed a bigger impact from him. Wasn't he 0 for 5 from 3 last game? Or was that the game before? Yeah, so that's 1 for 11. 1 for his last 11 from 3 is Jeremy Grant. So I don't expect him to be a 45% three-point shooter. Blazers fans haven't gotten to see the Jeremy Grant where he struggles to make threes, but when he struggles to make threes, he's not as high of a caliber of offensive player as we've seen this season because he's shot 45% on threes this year. So I think you're starting to see that. But everybody else in the starting lineup, like shooting-wise, was fine. Nurk, 5 for 7 from 2, missed a couple threes. One of them was in and out halfway down. But he had 18 rebounds, played his ass off, 4 assists with his 4 turnovers. Like, Nurkic absolutely was not a problem tonight. Anthony Simons, 6 for 14, 3 for 9 from 3, 7 for 8 from the free throw line. You like seeing him get to the free throw line that much. 2 assists, 4 turnovers, of obviously turnovers being a problem. But Anthony Simons, I thought, was okay tonight. He ends up having to play with a bench unit that sucks, and he got swarmed. And he has no chance for having a good performance when he's playing with the bench lineup, like at least during those stretches. He plays better with the starting lineup because he's actually next to some talented players. So it's just baffling to me. Josh Hart, 18 points. You love to see him be more aggressive, 7 for 12 from the field. Loved what I saw from him tonight. Dame, 11 for 23. Missed that final 3 at the buzzer. He was shooting 50% before that. Got to the line 12 times. Was 3 for 7 from 3. 9 for 12 from the free throw line. I don't know why he's missing free throws, but good game from Dame outside of the turnovers. So I think when you look at the starting lineup, it's fine. They're just way too sloppy. Nurk, Dame, Hart, and Simons combined for 18 turnovers among those 4 guys. That's not okay. The bench is a major problem. Keon Johnson in 4 minutes, a minus 15. Shane Sharp in 14 minutes, a minus 17. I just don't understand how people can come and chat and start talking about how starters need to go when you can't even play these bench guys with any confidence. I mean, it seemed like guys played the entire second half. Like, Chauncey just did not play the bench in the second half because of how bad the bench was. And the bench is terrible. And I know it's banged up, but I just don't understand how people come into a post-game show like this and start blaming starters or saying starters got to go when the bench is as bad as it was. And then the other issue on top of that is a collective turnover issue. That's not any 1 or 2 guys. It's multiple guys.
Yeah, and if the tired thing is true, I mean, 3rd game of road trip, you're playing every other day. to play 40 minutes. No wonder they're faltering down the stretch, right?
Yeah.
The only point I want to make to anyone saying the bench isn't being used right or they're not getting enough shots. I've seen a couple of those comments in chat. The bench had 4 turnovers and 3 points. So I don't care what they did out there. They turned the ball over more than they scored.
How do you get these guys shots too?
Yeah, it's like I don't know what you can do about that when they're turning the ball more frequently over than they're scoring. They had 1 made basket and 4 turnovers. So
none of these guys can create a thing for themselves or for anyone else. Like, Keon Johnson came in the game. His first shot was a terrible pull-up mid-range jumper that he almost airballed. And then he misses a 3. Like, Keon Johnson can't create for himself. Jabari's a nice role player, but that's the problem is if you had guys off the bench that could create their own shot, Jabari would, and maybe pass a little bit, Jabari would look better next to those guys. The problem is he's with a bench lineup that can't create their own shot. Sharp can't create his own shot. Watford can't create his own shot. Eubanks can't create his own shot. None of those guys can consistently shoot threes. Sharp can do it inconsistently. Keon inconsistently a little bit. Jabari, we haven't seen him shoot threes really since he started playing regular minutes. Like, this bench lineup just sucks. These guys don't do anything. And they're bad defensively too. Keon came in, made some awful mistakes. Eubanks, we've talked about how he's overrated on that end of the floor. Watford has had his struggles. Sharp is one of the worst defenders in the league this season. Like, the bench lineup is just... We have the worst bench in the league right now. Absolutely the worst bench in the league right now. And there might be a game or two where the bench is okay or they're able to tread water. Like last game, you had some good things happen. Jabari Walker, Shaden Sharp had a couple good games, but those are few and far between.
Should be relying on 2 rookies. One that was like a raw developmental rookie.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the like we only had a chance in this game late because we ran our starters into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
If we played Dame and Grant and Nurkic 35, 36 minutes instead of like 40, we lose this game by 20. is basically how it goes. Every starter played at least 38 minutes. Grant 40, Nurkic 38, Dame 41, Hart 39, Simons 42. At some point we got to start. I don't know. It's like, here's the decision though for Chauncey. It's like, okay, we'll just accept that we're going to lose a game and don't play the starters as much, or try and win the game and play the starters a ton. Either way, it's a bad solution. Like, there's really no good solution. And this bench lineup is so bad. If we kept these starters minutes around 35, 36 a game, we're losing this game by 20 to 25 points.
Yeah. The only pushback I'll say to that is Chauncey has this, like, he's getting caught in this definitive thing where he takes out Anthony, like, with 6 or so minutes left in the first quarter, and then brings him back towards the end of the first quarter after, like, sitting for 3 or 4 minutes, and then takes Dame out for the last, like, minute or two of the first quarter, and then as much time as you can buy into the second quarter. Usually is only about a couple more minutes there as well. Tonight, Anthony comes out, has 8 quick points, misses a 3 on a really good play design that he should have probably hit, and that would have been 11 quick points. Dame hadn't really done anything other than take one bad ISO shot when OG's guarding him on a long 2 and it gets blocked. So in that situation, I think Chauncey needs to do a better job, in my opinion, of recognizing the game flow and maybe saying, you know what, tonight I'm going to take Dame out first and leave Ant in since he's scoring and stuff. So I would like to see him adapt a little bit like that. That wouldn't change like the overall minutes most likely, but I do feel like this game kind of got away from us when we started subbing, and Dame just didn't have it in the first quarter, and Anthony did. So I would have liked to seen him be left out there a little longer.
Yeah, absolutely. When Ant has it go and leave him out there. That's for different reasons than I've seen some people say, which is, Dame should be staggered with the bench lineup instead of Ant to fix the bench. No one player is fixing this bench. It's not going to make a difference if you stagger Ant with Dame. Like, if you switch those guys minutes so that Dame's playing more with that bench lineup, it's not fixing anything. And here's the thing, Dame still plays a bit with the bench, like from like the 6-minute mark to the 3-minute mark in the first half, from the 9-minute mark to the 6-minute mark in the first quarter, and then the 9-minute mark to the 6-minute mark in the second quarter. He's playing with some bench guys. It's just not it's not a dominant bench unit. Whereas Ant is out there playing with 4 bench players near the end of first and third quarters and at the start of second and fourth quarters. Well, in a normal game. Today was not a normal game in the second half, substitution-wise. Dame ain't fixing that. You just got guys. It's just a terrible bench. It's just a terrible, terrible bench. Keon Johnson is a fringe NBA player. There's a reason why I question people saying that, he was a first-round pick from the year before, therefore he has first-round value. Keon Johnson has some flaws. Some serious flaws on the offensive end that he has to work out. He's still 20. He's still very young. Jabari Walker's 20. Shaden Sharp's 19. Trendon Watford's 21? So, like, I'm being hard on these guys. We shouldn't be relying on
any of those 4.
But they're extremely young. Yeah, they're developmental pieces, right? If you're talking about vets that were playing this bad, it'd be even worse. But that's the problem, is Cronin didn't get, I don't know, like, he needed to get another veteran piece. And sure, we're missing Justice Winslow, but Justice Winslow's a walking brick. How is he going to fix our bench scoring? And people talk about his playmaking, but who's he playmaking for? He's playmaking for guys that can't score, guys that can't shoot. And he can't play off the ball, so he's not going to make it easier on Anthony Simons or Damian Lillard if he's playing with that bench unit. Like, yeah, they miss Naz's offense, but Naz is not a consistent offensive player yet, and he can't consistently stay healthy. GP2 gets it done on the defensive end. Like, Cronin did not get enough.
13 minutes.
What, 13 minutes?
Did you say GP2?
Yeah, GP2 is a defensive player.
Yeah, he's played 13 minutes, so he's...
Yeah, I mean, he's played 13 minutes, but that's the thing, is Cronin overlooked the offensive aspect of this bench unit. Did not get enough offensive firepower for this bench unit.
We went all in on defense, and
We went all in on
defense isn't even that good.
I'm just like, how is it a situation where these are guys that are playing, man? Like, I don't know. It's just not deep past what you got. One quality bench player in GP2 that's not really healthy, and then like another one was supposed to be quality in Nas. But I've been critical of Cronin falling in love with Justice Winslow and Chauncey Billups falling in love with Justice Winslow. I've always thought Winslow's overrated. And then what do you have after that? You got a 19-year-old rookie who didn't play in college. Second to last pick in the draft from this past year. Keon Johnson, who was always a project anyway, but they overrated in the Norman Powell trade. I mean, this just goes back to they botched the Norman Powell and Robert Covington trades because they valued Keon Johnson and Justice Winslow. They overvalued him, because that's the thing. Imagine having Norman Powell off the bench right now. I'm not saying we should have kept him because he didn't want to be here, but you should have gotten back equal value for him, and Cronin didn't, and it's manifested itself into a bench lineup that doesn't have enough depth to absorb any injuries. And that's the thing. It's like, if you like, other teams have injuries, but they have guys that don't normally play that can step up and at least do something offensively. We have so many guys that can't do a thing offensively off this bench.
Mm-hmm. Well, the other part of that is, they traded for Eric Bledsoe's contract thinking that was going to be some sort of asset at the trade deadline. They had 6 days to use it or whatever. They strike out with that. It would, like we told you guys then, it had no value. And people who were saying it had, like, that was like the best asset contract wise in the league for the trade deadline. And we get nothing for it. And then on top of that, when we sign an injured player in Gary Payton II, going over the tax mid-level exception to do so and hard cap us, it meant we had to waive Eric Bledsoe, but that was like a $19 million contract they could have used to maybe take on a bad contract and a decent bench player from another team, for a team looking to get
Jody paying
I know it would have taken that, but I'm saying, like, they didn't even use one of the assets they thought that was going to be a valuable asset from the team. It ended up, actually, it's hurting us now, because that $3.9 million, because we didn't need Rocco to make that trade happen. It would have worked without Rocco. Like, why would we use Bledsoe as a Rocco was expiring, so we got a different contract thinking we had, like, the offseason maybe to use it or the trade deadline, but now we have to waive him. It costs $3.9 million to waive him because he's not an expiring contract, and then we have we stretch it 3 years, so it only counts as $1.3 million against the contract. Why the heck did we take Didi Luzada back in that trade? He was absolute garbage. Like, and we had to stretch his contract. And that dead money right there, just from those two moves, is the reason why we cannot sign a free agent or make a trade for someone making like under $2 million without going over the cap right now. And that's over the tax. Yeah. So that move those two moves are both Cronin moves that are costing us a chance to add possibly that, whether it's like Daniel Gafford or someone, like, we could add them using a trade exception or a minimum contract exception or whatever, but we can't because we're right up against the tax line. And this leads into a couple of the donations. The first of all, Mills Woj, $2 donation. Thanks, Mills Woj. If you guys are the GM right now, what's your move? I mean, he's got a month from tomorrow. What are you thinking, Tori?
I mean, I don't know, because that's the thing, is before it's like, okay, well, you gotta get a starting power forward, so it's like Siakam, or in the past Jeremy Grant. The names are obvious. Now it's like you gotta fill out the bench. And I mean, there's a number of guys across the league you could pursue bench wise. It's hard to even like narrow it down. But I've tossed out a few names, like Naz Reid supposedly isn't available, and it probably costs too much at this point. Missed the boat on that. Should have traded for him a year or two ago, like I was asking them to. You got, some names that have been floated out there: Caleb Martin, Cam Johnson. Trying to remember some of the names that the community's come up with.
You had Jalen McDaniels, right? That's another player who makes makes less than the amount we have in that dead space that we could have brought in using a trade exception or something if we didn't have that dead money on our books.
Yeah.
And still stayed under the cap.
So, like, some of these guys are more realistic than others, obviously. Jalen McDaniels has started struggling since I started bringing him up. His shot has fallen from 37% from 3 to 34%, but he averages 11 points per game in 26 minutes, right? Like, you need somebody that can score a little bit and knock down a shot occasionally, right? The bar is not high.
Just like an athletic defender,
Yeah, the bar is not high. So, you got to figure out how to shore up the bench, but I mean, that's the thing is Cronin, I don't know if I trust Cronin to build a better bench. There's only one move that Cronin has made that, I mean, I guess you could count Jabari Walker as paying off because he was the second last pick in the draft, and he's obviously got good value for that.
Outperforming that for sure.
But, like, he hasn't paid off yet. How many Cronin moves have paid off? The only move that has paid off was the CJ trade because you were able to get Jeremy Grant out of the Milwaukee first. That's the only thing that's paid off.
Leveraging his way here.
And it was only because Jeremy Grant wanted to come here and leverage his way here because Dame was recruiting him. And Grant wanted to play with Dame. So that was the only move that Cronin has made that's paid off so far. And it's funny because, like, right after that, hot start, and I was sitting here saying, okay, I believe in this team, man. But, I mean, as I think about it right now, like, people were saying, oh, he's a chemistry major. He knows how to put together a cohesive team that has chemistry. And shoot, I might have said that at one point, but dude, it doesn't. I mean, chemistry don't matter if you don't got talent.
I mean, the chemistry does seem good still.
With the starting five.
Yeah.
But outside of that, you don't have a single player you can rely on.
Yeah, so that's. I mean, I don't think it's that difficult to fix this team. You get someone who is a capable 6th, 7th man. Don't even have to be that good. Just someone that's competent, like an average level bench player. You get a better backup center than Eubanks.
Please.
And you hope the heck that Gary Payton's healthy, Nas is healthy, and someone else is healthy. Like between those two guys, one of them is healthy and is the other person. So then you'd have that whatever the two upgrades you had as your 7th and backup center guys, Gary Payton, that's an 8-man rotation. You force feed Sharp still a few minutes to develop him. You maybe play Jabari some spot minutes. If Winslow is not part of those trades, that's fine. If he's our 9th man, I think that's the recipe that they need to look at to fix this team without kind of sacrificing any of the future timeline either. And I think that if we had just that simple of pieces, which shouldn't be hard to do in the next month, I feel like this team could solve a lot of their problems.
Yeah. Shout out to Shaggy Squid with... Oh, I lost the dono. Do you have it?
Yep. Australian $5 donation. Thanks, Shaggy Squid. Dame found his shot in the second half. Love to see it, but his sloppy, unforced turnovers are uncharacteristic, and he needs to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, he's just driving too deep, but also here's a problem, I think, with some of the turnovers is guys just not spacing the floor correctly off the ball. Like, there was a play where I don't know who drove, but there was 3 players off the ball standing on top of each other. It was like Eubanks, Grant, and Jabari Walker. Like, Grant and Jabari Walker both cut to where Eubanks was standing, and 3 Blazers players were on top of each other. Like, you're going to turn over the ball when you drive and get stuck in situations if you don't have guys that you can kick to. Like, if they're all standing on top of each other, that means one defender can guard 3 players. So it's like a microcosm of a lot of things. It's some sloppy Dame stuff, like obviously dribbling the ball straight to Siakam, just losing the ball. Like, dang. There were some awful passes in this game. There was a pass that Ant had that was at Eubanks' feet that, looked like a horrible pass from Ant, but also Eubanks rolled way too skinny. Like, he should have been rolling towards the baseline where there was space. And I think that's what Ant was expecting. So sometimes it's just one guy's thinking one thing, one guy's thinking another. You know what I mean? Like, Dame had a turnover where Hart just slipped. Like, they turned the ball over in every way imaginable today. Every way imaginable. Sometimes it was like, okay, well, different pages. Sometimes it was like, what the hell are you doing? Sometimes it was like, wow, of course he just slips. Like, I mean, what can you do about that?
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be better, obviously.
Well, once again in the fourth quarter, we have a situation where one of our guards gets all the way under the basket, and then jumps in the air and has to pass out of it. And it looks really bad, but there's also no movement by the other four players. They were all standing above the three-point line at angles where Dame can't pass him the ball from there. So if you just get one person to cut in those situations, it's a wide open layup or dunk. So I still think some of them are fixable, but I mean, Josh Hart comes off a screen, slips over, and Dame's pass goes right to OG or whoever it was because Hart slipped. I mean, that's not really anyone's fault. And the overpassing or whatever, if people want to use that as an excuse, like a lot of the turnovers are like they're literally just dribbling the ball and they lose it off their foot or lose it right to their defender. That happened multiple times in this game too. Some of the passes are too low for the bigs. They do need to get those passes up a little bit, but it's just frustrating because outside of Dame with 7, it's like everyone's contributing to the turnover thing too. It's not like if Dame just fixes his turnover, like this team won't have a problem because everyone's turning the ball over.
Yep, absolutely. And then the final dono, Mike Aldridge says, it's clear we need to pop off the bench. Thoughts on signing Ben McLemore as a 10-day as an audition for a roster spot? Ben McLemore is not. He's like a 36% 3-point specialist. I mean, I hope gravity, like,
but
yeah, I just hope that our sights are set higher because we know what Ben McLemore is. He doesn't need to audition so that we can find out what he is. Like, we know what he is. He's a 3-point specialist who shoots 36% from 3. So he's not that special of a 3-point shooter. Yeah, he can provide a little bit of pop for this team and some spacing, but like we got to aim higher for this bench unit if we have any serious aspirations of doing anything this year.
And therein lies the other problem. Because we're right up against the tax, it's very, very unlikely that we can even add a 10-day contract at this point, let alone arguing about who that should be, because they're less than 100,000 up against the tax. It's almost the amount they're under the tax is the amount it costs for a 10-day player. So it's very questionable whether we could even sign a 10-day right now, and we're not going to the tax for a 10-day contract. So I think that's out of the question at the moment. And speaking of a player we had on the roster last year, one that we didn't re-sign, look how good Dennis Smith Jr. is on the Hornets this year. He's having a really good season. I know he was hurt for a while, but looks like we may have chose one of the wrong players to keep from the roster last year, where he would have instantly been one of our better point of attack defenders. And he's showing a lot of improvement on the offensive end. I think Chauncey really helped him in that regard last year. And so it would have been nice to have him instead of some of the guys we did keep.
Yep, absolutely. And then Mike Aldridge had a member message. Member for 9 months says, in Winslow's defense, we were winning with them. No, we weren't. Not at the end of November. Not at the end of November. We were winning with him at the start of the year. But Sharp was playing great and Nas was playing great. That wasn't because of Justice Winslow, as much as people want to chalk it up to be. So, yeah, we need to set our sights higher than Justice Winslow. We need to set our sights higher than Ben McLemore, in my opinion. Those... Sure, Winslow might be nice to have right now, but that's how bad our bench is. Like, I know the bar is super low, but I don't want Ben McLemore or Justice Winslow playing in the playoffs. You shouldn't want those guys playing in the playoffs. Like, I don't know. It's kind of strange how, like, it seems like every Blazer fan either loves Drew Eubanks or loves Justice Winslow, and I just don't get it, man. Like, both these guys are just so mid at best.
Yep. Winslow had some good moments, and you could argue that he'd be better than anyone else we're putting out there right now. But like you said, that's a pretty low bar, and that's not necessarily the long-term answer.
He's just bad.
But it would help to have him like available right now, but unfortunately that's not the case.
I mean, he's just bad. Winslow's not good. It just goes back to that Clippers trade they botched. Absolutely botched. you had to get back something of value, like of legitimate value, for Norm Powell and Robert Covington. They only got back speculative value. Keon Johnson is speculative value. Justice Winslow's not good. Eric Bledsoe's contract ended up hurting us, and then we got a second round pick for Norman Powell and Robert Covington. Like that, I just can't. That trade was so pathetically bad, and it was so crazy how people was like, well, he needed to clean house. Okay, yeah, you got to get rid of those guys, but here's the problem: is they were assets, and you didn't get back proper value for your assets, and now you don't have bench players, or you don't have assets like maybe a future first to trade for a bench player. That's the problem. You got to be able to manage your assets so that you have enough in the cupboard in order to fill out an entire rotation. Yes, he got a great asset trading for Jeremy Grant. Like, we turned a low-value asset into a high-value asset, but that was more so like free agency to me. Like, Jeremy Grant wanted to come here and was able to work his way here because he had a handshake agreement with Detroit's front office. That's the thing, though, is like, you had that on the line. You had that coming, right? Imagine if you just managed your assets properly in regards to Norm Powell and Robert Covington. I refuse to believe that there wasn't a better trade out there, given what I know about the time and given what I know happened at the time and some of the things that were on the table. I refuse to believe that there wasn't a better trade out there. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully, Keon Johnson is a first-round pick, but he's not. He's not a first-round pick value. Teams want first-round picks so they can draft players that they like.
And if we needed a first-round pick or to trade someone that has first-round pick value, unfortunately, Keon does not have that right now.
DJ Vega says, why y'all acting like 3 of our bench rotation players aren't injured? We've literally said GP2, Nas, and Justice Winslow like a million times this stream. I assume you just got in here like in the last 2 minutes and haven't listened to this entire conversation. Because we've said those guys' names multiple times. All right? Like, just if you come in, wait a little bit before just making assumptions about what we're talking about. Anyway. Chat's getting feisty, I see.
Sam Stone said it was a salary dump, the Clippers trade. It was an unnecessary salary dump. They dumped them for no reason then because we knew we were trading CJ to New Orleans. We were just working out the details of that, and it happened a couple days later. And we were simply panicked and made a bad trade to get rid of contracts. It's just, I mean, there's no sugarcoating it.
Yep. Shout out Mike Aldridge, another $5 donor, says, no argument on setting the bar higher. I just have reservations that Cronin is willing to make any big moves. Cheers, gentlemen. Thank you, Mike, for the $5 dono. Yeah, it's, I don't know, man. I mean, this just sucks. I'm like trying to read chat and make points right now, and it's tough. Especially considering I didn't sleep much because I got out the preview video and all that. So, yeah, I mean, the starting lineup is okay and the bench sucks, is what it is. Justice Winslow ain't fixing anything. If you guys are counting on Justice Winslow to fix anything, I got a boat on Mars to sell you. If you're counting on GP2 to fix anything, that might be a bad bet. Like, I understand, GP2 fixes a lot of problems. I've been counting on him to fix some of our issues, but, I mean, he was probable today with an ankle injury and then doesn't play. We know he waited. He was cleared in early December and waited until January to come back from the core issue. Like, he had that comment that I questioned back in the offseason that everybody thought I was crazy for when he said, like, oh, yeah, I went there for the money about coming to Portland. And I didn't even think too much of it. I figured, like, yeah, he wants to get paid and whatever. I just don't like that he just admitted that he came here for the money. Like, say something good about the team or whatever. But I figured he would come in here and be a dog and, like, be try and help this team. And, I mean, yeah, he dealt with an ankle injury. Maybe it's still bothering him, but I'm not saying anything definitive in regards to him not wanting to play or whatever. But I'm starting to worry. is basically where I'm at with GP2. I'm starting to worry. I don't know what the deal is with him, man, but he like played through it. He played after he sprained his ankle. He played through it on that night.
I mean, sometimes it flares up later.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. Like, I'm not saying that's not the case. It makes me wonder.
Well, he was asked after the game about his ankle, and his exact quote, "I'm gonna thug it out," and he hasn't played since. So at some point, I know it's a different injury, but at some point you have to you have to question after being probable yesterday, and then him saying this morning that it wasn't feeling good. Uh, yeah. So I don't get it because, like I said, I've known of Gary back to when he played on Oregon State, and like he's never been this type of person. So I find it hard to believe it's not actually bothering him. So I'm not making like any accusations or anything like that. But there is something to him not wanting to play several games when he had been cleared, and then him now going from being probable to nothing. And
he got his ring, he got his bag.
The team, yeah, the team might be just being cautious. It's probably fine, but we desperately need him right now to help with this, and he would help a lot of our issues, as we saw in the 13 minutes he played. But unfortunately, yeah, I just can't seem to get healthy this year. It might just be one of those years where at least he's under contract next year, and maybe you just have to think about it long term, but it just sucks because we need him so bad right now.
Like, that's the thing with people saying, oh, well, we got 3 bench players out. Okay, yes, but, I mean, GP2 has been out all season, and if he's not going to play through any injuries, then you can't consistently rely on him, right? And he's been a bit injury-prone during his career, it seems like. Like he said, he's always been playing through something, right? So you kind of expect him to always be dealing with something, but what if he doesn't play through it now? Then how much is he going to play, right? So that's questionable. You're relying on Nas, who is a turnstile defensively this year, and hasn't proven to be able to consistently do anything offensively. I mean, I don't know if he's a guy that should be in a rotation for a playoff game. And then Justice Winslow should definitely not be in the rotation for a playoff game. Like, you're talking about guys that would not play in the playoffs for contending teams, is what you're talking about. But, oh, wait till they get back. We need those guys so bad. That's how bad our bench is we need guys that wouldn't even be in the rotation for contending teams.
Yeah. And in regards to Gary Payton, you know, I said if he didn't end up playing in that Warriors game, I think it might be time to, like, worry about it a little bit. And I got so much crap because he ended up playing this next game. Like, oh, see, panic is so stupid. Like, why would anyone say that, right? But, I mean, just it's the mental part of it. It's the fact that he was cleared a month and then didn't want to play against Golden State because he was worried he was going to look bad. Like, that kind of stuff is troublesome. Now, whether it's an issue the entire season, maybe it's just a mental hurdle. Once he clears it, he'll be fine. It's still not out of the realm of possibility that this is just him, like, actually being hurt, and he'll be fine once he's healthy. But like, there is valid reasons to wonder what is going on with it.
Yep. So, I don't know. It's funny, I saw a comment earlier. It was Ishfluent saying, Tori, where's the light at the end of the tunnel? Now you guys want me to preach the light at the end of the tunnel? That's what I've been doing all season. And I've had a lot of people, like, either get tired of me preaching positivity or just flat out disagree. Like, it's hard to constantly be positive when everything I see is Blazer fans, like, jumping off the bandwagon, man. Like, it makes it difficult to be positive, because I'll be like, okay, we're fine, and then I go on Twitter and I see 5 people saying Dame's washed, 10 people saying that Nurk is the problem, 15 people saying Eubank's energy is better than anything on this team, and 20 people saying to trade Ant, and it's the same 20 people that were saying to trade CJ so that we could start Ant. And I'm supposed to sit, and I try to sit here and preach logic and just take a step back and think about things logically. that type of stuff makes it difficult, man. I am struggling for the positivity right now. I'm struggling. I'm trying, and I've tried all year. But, like, you guys know I'm willing to be negative. In years past, it's this guy's always negative. This guy complains so much.
Well, I mean, we just got done saying a competent backup, a center that's better than Eubanks, and a healthy Gary Payton, and this team, I think, could be really good. Like, that's not negative. That's actually really positive in my mind. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
So any center, yeah, pretty much.
Oh, God. Anyway, I also say this. We should start. I posted this in chat, but we should start just openly blocking people for spamming terrible takes in chat for attention. Because there's one thing with having an unpopular take, and there's another thing with people that just spam terrible takes, like, and it's obvious when they're seeking attention, and they throw chat off the rails.
When they preface it by, Tori always blocks people for having bad takes and not for name calling, but I'm going to go off about it for like 10 minutes and then they speak horrible
Honestly,
takes.
Eric, every time I see somebody say, Tori blocks people for disagreeing or Tori blocks people for bad takes, I'm just going to start blocking it for them lying, all right? Mods, if you ever see anyone say, Tori just blocks people for disagreeing, just block them, because they're just seeking attention from me or from chat. It's just attention-seeking behavior. So, mods, you have the right of way. Eric, you have the right of way. I don't even know if we have any freaking mods in here. It's in the middle of a Sunday.
Yeah. Well, if that guy in here was telling the truth when he says that, he wouldn't have to constantly say that we block people for disagreeing with him. So just stop saying that, bro. Every person who's ever said that proves why we blocked them to begin with, and why we blocked your other three accounts already, or 8 accounts, or how many ever it's been. You had 2 last stream alone.
See, that's the thing, is anybody that comes here and says that has been blocked for usually a legitimate reason, so they should just be blocked. That's why from now on, Eric, anybody that says that, autoban. Autoban. Goodbye. DJ Vega's been on at our neck all year, and he says, I've never been blocked. And DJ Vega, no offense, you've been in... He blocked you?
He blocked me on Twitter, yeah.
He's kind of been in... No offense, DJ Vega, you've kind of been an asshole to us this year. I mean, you're still here. Your name's still showing up. So even Vega knows, man. Even Vega knows we've been at it. So, yeah. I'm tired of chat getting completely derailed by stuff, man. Yeah, I'm a total asshole to you for sure. Anyway. We'll take questions. I don't know where I want to go with this postgame show. It's not going to be super long. It's the middle of a Sunday, and I'm tired, and yeah, I don't even know what I want to talk about, man. I mean, the bench sucks. The turnovers suck. That's what lost them this game. I don't think any starter was particularly bad if you don't count, like, the sloppiness.
You know what? I'm just going to say it. Rudy Gay would be better than anyone on our bench right now, so we should definitely trade for him.
Yeah, $6 million a year. Question, what was the alternative trade to the Clipper trade? Norm to Cleveland for a first-round pick. Would have been nice. And it would be a future first now because their pick didn't convey, but then they turned around and did it for Karis LeVert. So the same package Karis LeVert got. It would be nice to have a future first right now. Maybe we could trade it for our future first back and include future first in a trade without having to make them completely unprotected, because we have a protected one to Chicago that's protected for years. Like, that's the problem with that, you know what I mean? Or at least if we had a future first, it would make it easier to trade for a good bench player. But instead, we got, Keon Johnson, he's a first from a couple years. Let's trade him. He's a first-round pick at some point in the past. Well, at this point, we should just sign, Ben McLemore and treat him like the 7th overall pick. And then, unfortunately, we can't trade him, but Keon Johnson's not a first round value. Justice Winslow's not a first round value. A future first round pick has more value than anything we got back in the Clippers trade.
Well, I also know that the Pelicans, if they didn't get CJ, would have also given us that Milwaukee first for Norm, because they had a trade exception big enough to fit Norm. But Norm didn't want to go to New Orleans, and we wanted to trade him to a team he wanted to go on. And CJ didn't want to go to any other team other than New Orleans, and we wanted to make CJ happy. And Cronin even admitted that in his press conference after the trade deadline. He said he gave up value in trades to do right by those guys. And
Eric, here's a crazy thought that maybe Cronin should have considered. Maybe he should have considered making Blazer fans happy. Because I'm not happy, and we're all not happy. We're all mad now.
Well, I mean, this all goes back to me is not having the foresight to have the protections changed to the Lakers pick if the Pelicans made the playoffs and the Lakers didn't. So we could have been possibly looking at the 8th pick. Think of all the trades we could have possibly made and still probably made the Jeremy Grant trade and have like another good player from that 8th pick, you know?
I mean, but here's the crazy thing about making them happy. Bro, he made 2 teams in the West better.
Yeah.
2 teams we have to beat.
Mm-hmm.
But we got Justice Winslow, the walking brick. It's okay.
I mean, even having like Larry Nance right now, I think would be really good for our bench. But so he gave him up, and the other 3, everyone complained about their contracts, but LA says immediately after the trade they didn't think they could get anyone as good as Norm Powell on his type of contract with the assets they had available in a trade, and then they immediately re-signed Rocco for the same amount per year and signed him to a 2-year extension for the same exact contract. And then New Orleans does the same for 2 years with CJ. They extend his contract 2 years at the same price too. So it's not like you can even make the case that we had to dump those contracts to get rid of them, because all the teams that got those players valued those contracts and thought they were not negative value.
Yeah. But there's a comment in chat. You guys wanted Norman Powell out. Oh my god. I'm having flashbacks to when this happened. You guys wanted to trade him, so you should be happy with whatever you get. What? That doesn't make sense. Bro, like, if you want to get rid of a car that's still in good shape, you don't just give it away for free because you just want to get rid of it. Mm-hmm. You get what you deserve for it. You don't sell a $5,000 car for $50 because, it doesn't matter, $5,000, $50. It doesn't matter because I want to get rid of it, so let's just get rid of it for anything.
Well, the other thing too is, okay, so let's just say we had to dump Norm and Rocco. We already talked about this earlier. The Bledsoe contract had no value. It was, in fact, now negative towards us because it's pushing us right up against the tax and we got nothing for it. The Winslow contract, the Clippers would have been happy to give him away to any team so they didn't have to pay him $4 million this year after he didn't really work out for them this year. So he had absolutely zero value in a trade. So we could have actually just called them as part of the CJ trade and been like, hey, can we add Winslow to this trade and we'll give you like nothing back or like, Didi Luzada or whatever. Like we could have done that and the Clippers would have gladly done it. So, and then Keon, unfortunately for him, I mean, yeah, he showed out in summer league and looked like he was developing a lot in the off season, which is great. But if you can't get on the court because of who's in front of you, and when you do get on the court, you're not really taking advantage of those opportunities, there's no real way to raise his trade value during the season. So he has, probably like at best a couple second rounders value right now. So unfortunately, even if you did want to get rid of those guys, you didn't get anything worth value in a trade back, and that's the problem.
Yep. Taylor says, guys, just stop it. Zach LaVine is going to sign here. We got hella cap space. Yeah, and then we're going to trade
60 million.
Yeah, and then we're going to trade the seventh overall pick. We're going to trade that pick after the draft for a free agent for DeAndre Ayton. All right, that's what we're also going to do. And then we're going to just decide to sign Nurkic to Phoenix. We're going to decide to sign him there. Okay, he doesn't get to decide. We're going to decide to sign him there so that we can sign and trade him for Ayton in a sign and trade. He going to come here and we're going to trade the 7th pick for him. Got it. Cronin's genius plan, guys. Trust, I told you he had a plan, man. Genius plan. When you made that Clippers trade, see, like that Clipper. I don't know how to make that Clippers trade relate to any of that, but yeah, that was his genius plan when he made the Clippers trade. That's what we heard, Eric. That's what we heard last spring.
Cody, well, I think Quinn Snyder is a good coach and got a bum rap. I mean, he's done absolutely nothing in the playoffs to warrant thinking that he could be a good coach for another team. But, I mean, Utah was the number 1 seed, couldn't get out of the, second round?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. We don't know what Chauncey is. Like, I can't even... Chauncey only has 5 NBA players on his roster right now. And the 5 players he has on his roster right now will just randomly have some of the silliest turnovers ever. Like, it's just a mess. I don't know. Like, it's hard to judge Chauncey with how much of a mess this roster is, with how much of a mess the minutes have to be because the bench is so bad. Like, and how much of a mess certain players have been at times. I mean, like, Dame was in a slump, just came out of it, but he had 7 turnovers today. Like, they had 24 turnovers. That's not... Sure, you could maybe criticize Chauncey for some of them in terms of, oh, well, that's just a bad set, or, I don't know, bad out-of-timeout play. But most of the time when it's turnovers, you got to put a lot of the blame on the players. So
DJ Vega says you guys always mention the Cronin deadline, how bad it was, but never the Nance trade being an overpay. Well, I mean, it'd be nice to have Markkanen out of that trade right about now. But
yeah, Markkanen off the bench would be nice right now.
But anyways, like,
and I would say no to Markkanen, man.
Yeah. I mean, we're strictly talking about the team building of this current roster. Now, I mean, Cronin got. I mean, you can make the argument we only get Jeremy Grant because he included that as part of the trade. So it ended up working out for Cronin, but he ended up getting nothing for a player that we just traded a first for, and that is back to being a good player this year and a key contributor on a good team. So I don't necessarily think that trade was that bad. Now the protections on it were ridiculous. Protecting it through 2028, that's part of the problem right now. Like, if it was just protected like 2 years and then turned into a couple seconds, I think we'd be in a lot better shape right now. But I don't think they were planning on missing the playoffs last year either. So that should have already conveyed, and then we wouldn't have had that problem. But yeah. But this is also why I don't want to unprotect that pick for someone than to trade another future first for someone like Jared Vanderbilt. Like, I don't think getting role players using first round picks is necessarily the best way to build a competent bench. I think you got to use your picks on top end talent and fill out your bench using the other avenues you have, whether that be the MLE, the Rocco trade exception, second round picks, that kind of stuff. I would just rather save those assets for that. So yeah, I mean, looking back, of course, the Rocco trade and the Larry Nance trade look really bad in hindsight, but I don't think at the time they were like egregious in terms of the amount they they gave up in those trades, it was pretty fair value for those players at the time of the trades.
Yep. Oh, man. Seahawks in overtime right now. I got it on my phone, not even gonna lie. And did you see they kicked a field goal off the upright that would have won them the game?
I had missed it. No, just been
here. Unfortunately. Yeah, they kicked a field goal off the upright. That's crazy. God. I don't know, man.
Wait, what?
What? What?
I'm just trying to figure out what if a black head coach no means. If that's based on another comment, or if that's being racist.
We're bad for banning those people. I don't know what that means, but
hopefully I'm just missing something else. But man, if that's racist, you're getting banned for a legit reason. But you'll come back under a different name and tell us we banned you for something else.
Yeah.
I hope I was out of context. That's why I gave you a chance. I didn't.
Anyway, welcome into the We Call Out Chat on the Ridiculousness segment.
Marcus asks, think we get Kevin Love on his next contract? I think he's probably like a tax Emily type player at this point. So I don't know if that'll be necessarily who would go after in a move.
Yeah,
but
he's just a 3-point specialist backup 4 that doesn't play defense. Yeah.
I mean, I think that might be something that's possible, but I wouldn't go after it. Okay. Well, we do know that Jeremy signed with Detroit because they did have a black head coach, a black GM, and a fairly significant black history city. He's talked about that before, so we know that was a factor in his decision before. So I don't think it's a stretch to,
You now he thinks you're accusing him of saying racist comments when you literally asked him to clarify it.
Thank you for clarifying, man. I gave you a chance to clarify. So
oh god. Anyway, let's just move on from that conversation. Anyway, good job, Cody. Anyway, I don't know. What do you like? We can end this stream soon. I don't even know where to go with this. We'll just take questions. I don't have much mental energy right now. And I don't know what to talk about. We need to win 7 of these next time. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the upcoming schedule.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we come home and play the Magic, who are better than people think.
Fazil, we spent 30 minutes of this show so far talking about that at the beginning. Just go back 10, 15 minutes in and listen. I think you'll find your answer.
But the Magic are better than people think. They're actually 10-5 in their last 15 games, Eric. The Magic had a stretch where they won 8 out of 9 games. They beat Boston twice in a row at Boston. Beat Toronto twice in a row at home. Beat Atlanta. They had a stretch. They played Toronto, Atlanta, Boston, Atlanta. Only game they lost was by 1 to Atlanta. I think that was a buzzer beater. Maybe an AJ Griffin buzzer beater. Then they beat Houston and San Antonio. They just beat Golden State at Golden State yesterday. Orlando's not... people view Orlando as a bottom feeder. Orlando is better than people think. There's a reason I had them as the 10th seed in the East going into the season. They were super injured to start the year. Now that they've gotten healthier, they're actually a problematic team. I will have a game preview for that game. I'm dropping game previews before games, so make sure to check those out and watch them so that I keep feeling motivated to make them. So you got Orlando at home, Eric. We got 4 games in a row at home, then a road game, then 6 games in a row at home. So at least we'll be at home, and at least we can, if we lose, we can share in the misery. But Orlando, Cleveland, Dallas. That's not easy. It's 4 home games, but it ain't going to be easy. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, 10 of our next 11 are at home, so gotta win a majority of these games if you want to turn it around. Yep. Hopefully we have Gary Payton back for some of them.
Yep, Taylor, it's not your fault. Yeah, I mean,
Shaggy Squid asks, Sharp seems years away from being ready to trade him for the right trade to help us win now for Dame's timeline.
Say that again? Tide?
Sharp seems years away from being ready to trade him right now for Dame's timeline.
I don't know, Eric. I'm at the point where it's like, I don't know if you can play both the let's try and get this team to the point where they can make a run and let's try and develop standpoint. I don't know if you can play both those timelines.
Well,
I think you got to go in on one of them because I don't think they have the assets to play both. That's why I was so mad with the Clippers trade. If you had assets to move around and upgrade the bench, then you could still play the future game with Sharp and Ant and Nas and that sort of thing. But
well, in terms of just Sharp, I guess if you want to include Anthony in there, I still think it's not the timeline, playing the 2 timelines is the problem. I think it's the problem is they didn't have a capable bench player that could make it so we're not reliant on Sharp to give us good minutes. Like, there's no reason we should have Sharp giving us minutes right now.
But the problem is, how do you address that issue without giving up some of your future assets? You know what I mean? Like, there's no way to address that issue and still play the long game. Like, unless Cronin has a stroke of genius and
I don't think it's that hard to get a couple of competent bench players. Maybe you have to.
Like who though?
I mean,
I'm struggling to find names that are easily gettable because there's a lot of buyers, I think, this year.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even if it's just like Jalen McDaniels and let's just stick with the same team. Let's just say we get Jalen McDaniels and Nick Richards or something. I don't know. I think that makes our team a lot more capable of winning some of these games. And, I don't think we'd have to give up that many assets to make a trade like that. Maybe not those specific players, but, just like 2 competent backups, get Payton healthy. I think we're fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if it's guys like that, like, sure, but we don't know if either of those guys can be effective in the playoffs. Like, I have more faith in them being more effective in the playoffs than Eubanks and or other guys, but like, in order to get guys that you can trust in the playoffs, you gotta give up something, and those guys are kind of like in between.
Let me clarify that, because that's 2 different questions. He says Jalen McDaniels doesn't make us a contender, though. Okay, so
I don't know if anything realistic makes us a contender.
Right. Yeah. So that's here's what I'm gonna say. We give up the farm to get, let's just say, OG, right? We trade all our future firsts and unprotect the Chicago pick. We deal Sharp out of here. We find a way to match salary without giving up really anyone else other than Sharp. Let's just say that's the trade that ends up happening, right? So, in my opinion, that team, or this starting 5 plus OG, basically, and Gary, I guess. So those 7. Are you winning a championship? I don't know. Like, it's possible.
Like, an 8th guy, But
I think it's possible, right? But we just gave up pretty much all our assets in that trade. Um, so, uh,
I mean, but that's my point. Is
right,
like you can either play the long game or you can try and
right.
win a championship.
But to me, if you have Sharp pop in 2 years and keep all those assets or use them on maybe not as good of players as OG, but like you build a quality bench around a competent starting lineup that we have. Maybe you upgrade the three at some point and bring Hart off the bench. I think that, to me, having Anthony get better, having Sharp in a couple years be better, I still think the chances of us building towards a championship team in 2 years is greater than the chance we pull off a miracle trade and win a championship this year, if that makes sense.
But here's the thing: is as part of the calculation for those chances, you're assuming that Sharp pops. But there's the chance that it
Yeah.
doesn't.
So
in all, that's the thing. I mean, I'm not saying either way, but that's the calculation. Is
well, I mean, even if he pops, it's not
because you'd have to. If you you either have to trade him soon or he needs to pop. Like, it has to be one or the other. If we keep Shane Sharp and he does not develop like we need him to, the Blazers are screwed. Is what I think. I mean, maybe you can work around the edges and Ant gets better and Dame is still Dame and maybe we're fine. But like they desperately need Shaden Sharp to pop in the next 2 years. And I'm not sure if he will. So you're taking a risk there. But of course, if you trade him, you're taking a risk that he's a superstar in 6 years. Like, that's the thing.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not there yet to where the risk is. I still think I'd rather keep him at this point and hope that he pans out. But I'm not saying it well. But yeah.
I'm worrying that people are slightly overrating the chances he becomes a star. And you know me, I've been super high on his upside, and I still believe in his upside. But like, I feel like a lot of people are just like, yeah, he's gonna be a star. He's gonna be a star. He's gonna be a star. I don't know how people are so confident.
Yeah. Well, to me, I mean, if he does become a star and you have Anthony playing the way he is, then Dame all of a sudden, as he gets older, yes, he's not going to be as good, but he also would have to do a lot less. So I still think, I don't know. I still think that's the most likely. I mean, all these outcomes are, I mean, it's really difficult to win a championship. I'm not expecting even to win one in my lifetime, but I don't know. They're all small percentages.
I mean, the only thing I hate is people that say blow this team up, because Dame would be a really good mentor for Shaden Sharp. Don't freaking like do y'all have no sense of like loyalty or sticking it out to the end? Like, I know that's dead in sports, but man, like, in 3-4 years you can blow it up. Blowing it up doesn't guarantee anything. Dame is a great mentor for Shaden Sharp, for Anthony Simons. Simons would not be what he is now, in my opinion, without Damian Lillard's mentorship. You want that for Shaden Sharp. Like, you can still play the long game with Dame, but like the whole blow it up, this team is not, even if you trade Dame, this team's not going to be bad enough to be a bottom 5 team, in my opinion. Because that's the thing, like, Cronin probably puts a better bench around a team without Dame, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it's the blow it up stuff I don't like. Dame is the only loyal star, and people want to stab him in the back. Yeah. It's kind of whack to me. All for what? Because we ain't getting Wembanyama this year. There's like, we're not going to be able to get Wembanyama this year. We're not going to be able to trade Dame for multiple games. Like, he's not going to purposely lose. You're not going to sit him for the rest of the year. Like, and even if you did, you're still not going to be able to get high enough. We tanked for half a year last year. We got the 7th freaking pick. Like, do people, like, there's so many people that are like, let's go after Wembanyama. Let's go after Wembanyama. And it's like, do they not have any sort of memory? Do they not remember literally last season when we did that for half the season? In the first half of the season, Dame was terrible because he was hurt. And we got the 7th freaking pick. Like, tanking's easier said than done. Anybody can sit here and say, tank, let's tank. Look at who the number 1 pick is. Let's tank. I'm going to say you're sitting there getting the 7th pick. You know how nice it would be to have Paulo Banchero right now? Oh, but we didn't get him. Because we didn't get the number 1 overall pick. But then there's people that cry about the salary cap and whatnot. We're going to be over the cap anyway. If we're in the tax, if we're like $20 million into the tax or $2 million into the tax, the only thing that matters is to Jody, and the MLE is slightly lower. Y'all worrying way too much about how much money that dude's going to be making when we're going to be over the salary cap. We're not going to have cap space anyway. And even if we did, when do we sign anyone anyway? We were supposed to have all this cap space this summer, and it was still smarter to operate like we were over the cap and use a trade exception for Jeremy Grant and then just re-sign our guys. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like we've had a lot of fans that were like Laker fans that all of a sudden decide to become Blazer fans lately. I'm so baffled by some people, man.
And Dame's contract goes up the exact percentage of the cap that it's always been. So whether it's 30 million or 60 million, it's the exact same percentage. And you have actually more room to work with because 35% of like 150 million or whatever it is in 3 years is more money to work with than 35% of 100 million when he started and it was only making 35 million.
Yeah, exactly. So people see 60 million. Oh my God, that's so much money. The salary cap's going to be like 170 million. If he's making 60 million, the salary cap has to be like 170 million. So Dame haters are freaking pathetic if they've been Blazer fans and they're hating on Dame. It's pathetic. That's my opinion. Okay. I think it's pathetic. If you're stabbing Dame in the back, I think it's pathetic. And if you're worrying about him making $60 million in, 3 years when the salary cap's up to $170 million, I also think that's kind of pathetic. When we're going to be over the tax anyway, and we've never had success in free agency anyway. But where's all the washed comments today, Eric? This dude had a 5 or 6 game shooting slump, and so many people acted like he was never going to be able to make a 3 again. But now we're complaining about his contract because he actually had a decent game today, and he almost dunked on someone with his left hand. Oh, he got blocked, but he was up there on it. We can't criticize his. Oh, he turned the ball over, right? Because that's what being washed is. It means you just like accidentally pass the ball into a hand. I mean, come on, man. People gotta chill with Dame. People gotta chill with Dame. They're hyper-analyzing his body language and crap. Like, his body language looked good to me today. I'm sure he's frustrated because he hasn't been making shots. But then people think he's not interested. I mean, come on. Have you guys not watched this dude for 10 years? Are you guys 2 years old? Like, how are people so lost in regards to our franchise scoring leader who's been here for a decade? Is there something with, like, being in the Portland area that just, like, erases your memory or something? Like, I'm just so baffled.
What has Dame won, though? He hasn't won nothing.
Yeah. I mean, well, teams win things. This is a team sport, my guy. It's a team sport. The problem is, our team right now is only 5 NBA players. DJ Vega, I mean, that might be possible at the deadline for sure. I mean, that would be the best case scenario. It's just, you'd have to motivate the Bulls to do it. You'd have to maybe give them cash or like an extra second or something.
Well, here's the thing, though. We're talking about how bad this team is. We're only, a half a game or something out of 12th or something like that. So,
do you guys want to do it? It better be worth it, is what I'm saying.
So let's just say we're doing that to get Jared Vanderbilt or DJ Vega. Name what player you want to free up future picks to get, okay? Then let's say we still lose in the play-in or don't make the play-in and end up with like the 10th pick in a really, really, really good draft. And we could have potentially gotten that wing of our future at the 10th pick or whatever, like the Phoenix Suns did with Mikal Bridges at the 10th pick a few years ago. Something like that could be on the table. And we gave that pick up not only, but we also, gave up another future first on top of that to trade for, someone that probably doesn't get us much higher than we were right now. I don't know. Like, I think that's just foolish.
I mean, I think it's just a conversation of like, if it's worth it, could we do
right,
it?
Right.
I think that's what he was asking. So,
I mean, if you can get OG without having to overpay, and I think Sharp and 2 first is an overpay in my opinion. But I mean, if you can get him, I think you have to consider it. But I don't know.
I think if you could get like a really good bench player on top of doing that Sharp and 2 first for OG, I think you have to consider it. Like I tweeted out a trade that was Naz Reid, and OG Anunoby for Sharp and like filler contracts, and we kept Nasir Little in that deal. So basically, it turned the starting lineup it upgraded the starting lineup with the perfect role player. We've already talked about how the starters have been fine. And then you move Josh Hart to the bench with GP2. You still have Nas, and then you have Naz Reid off the bench. Like, if you have a starting lineup of Dame, Ant, OG, Jeremy Grant, Yusuf Nurkic, and then a bench of Josh Hart, Gary Payton II, Nasir Little, and Naz Reid, I feel like that's a really good team because that would be one of the best benches in the league after having the worst bench in the league. And you upgrade the starting lineup with a perfect role player. Like, you would have to consider that. Yes, it's risky, and you're punting on the future with that, but I mean, you're truly trying to win this year. And OG and Naz Reid are young enough. With Ant, you still got Nas. Like, you still have some runway, and you still have a window, 3-4 years. Grant's still young enough to be around and at this level for 3 to 4 years. Like, that sort of trade, I understand why people wouldn't do it, absolutely. And, it is a lot that Toronto's getting back, in my opinion. Part of the reason I gave them Sharp and 2 first was I know Raptors fans get pissed and they group up, and I just didn't want to deal with that. But like that's the thing is I understand why people wouldn't do that at all, and I understand why people would do that. But that's the thing is this team might have to make that sort of decision. Like, do we just punt on the future and trade Sharp and try and win right now, or do we think we can be good enough while keeping him? That's what this team has to figure out, and if they to choose the latter, they have to figure out how to get good enough while keeping them. Because nobody's content with being a 7 and 8 seed in a first round exit.
Well, talking about contracts too, I mean, Hart potentially is a free agent after this year. Jeremy Grant's potentially a free agent after this year. And then OG would be a free agent. He can opt out after next year. So you're talking about a lot of those guys getting the raises too.
Cap's going on. I mean, you're going to have to pay the tax for a winning team.
Yeah, Naz Reid is a free agent after this year.
I mean, but like what contending team isn't paying the tax?
No, I absolutely agree. I'm just saying, hopefully Jody would be willing to do all that because it's a moot point if she's not. If that's the reason these trades aren't happening.
If she's not willing to do it, then she should sell the team because either she wants to own the team because she enjoys owning the team, and if she enjoys owning the team, then she should probably want to see the team win, right? Unless it's just a business venture for her to make more money. But like that's the thing is like if that's the case, well, she should make more money or whatever and sell the team.
Well, Jakob Hauge had a member message says petition to bring the gaming channel back.
Oh, what? So I can have fun on stream and we can have a positive time? That would be amazing. I'm still having fun, even when I'm mad. But yeah, it would be nice to actually, I don't know, do something different. Because after streams, I do not want to talk about Blazer basketball. I'll talk about it on Twitter a little bit, but I get it all out of my system, and I'm just kind of tired of everything right now. There's a comment that says she's selling after TV contracts are negotiated and 2 new expansion franchises are awarded, and she gets that money. Well, guess what? Okay. She could use that to raise the price. Like, oh, well, you got this money coming, so you should pay me more.
I mean, the Suns are selling for what, over 4 billion?
Yeah, like that can be baked into the price now, knowing that that's coming down the line. She doesn't have to wait to sell to get that money. She can use that as leverage to get more money now, considering that money would be coming for the new owner. So there's nothing stopping her from selling now. I mean, you might be right in that she's waiting for that to happen, but it sounds like she wants to own the team. I mean, she said she hasn't sold. She hasn't said she's selling after anything. She hasn't said she's waiting to sell until this happens or anything like that. I haven't heard anything regarding her waiting to sell or that she's going to sell.
And Phil Knight had a very low ball offer, so it wasn't that she wasn't selling either. So like, I don't know.
Yeah. And everybody was mad that she didn't sell to Phil Knight, but yeah, Phil Knight has to come in with a better offer then.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Easy peasy ass.
Easy peasy.
Oh, I think it was him. Yeah, why hasn't Jeremy signed yet? I don't know. I still believe he's going to sign in the next few days. But he could have a change of heart and go for the money. He can make a lot more money if he waits. So I don't know. I don't know if the losing streak affects anything. He said he was still happy after last game and wants to be here and is going to be here. Everyone else says it. Yeah. So, but in terms of why he hasn't signed it yet, I mentioned this last Thursday. He wasn't going to sign until if he was going to sign sometime when they got back to Portland over the next few days. So we'll see if he signs the next few days or not. But I don't know. I don't know what his thinking is as of right this moment. As of like a week ago, he was still leaning towards signing it, from what I heard.
Smart Tory Hoops. How do you know what she said at the governor meetings? Because I don't think it was reported. So
No, don't. You know. That's the guy who claimed he had inside information.
I know. I want to hear the source. I want to hear the where that information came from.
Yeah, Jakob, I actually held the name up on chat a few days ago,
and nobody noticed.
And okay, so that's so dumb. No one's saying only I have sources. I don't even claim to have. Like, I'm not even trying to say anything. Like,
what are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about? All right, goodbye, you freaking asshole. Stop being an asshole. Goodbye, you're banned. Peace. See you later. Okay, Eric, what were you saying?
I don't know. Anyways, yeah. I mean, we've mentioned his name. Both Tori named it earlier, and Trats named it. So, yeah, I'm not just gonna come out and say that.
Anyway, oh man, nah, he'll be back. He'll be back. We'll go around and he'll be back. He'll be like, "You called me an asshole, but that was mean. You're an asshole," and I'll be like, "Yeah, I am an asshole," and then we'll do it all over again. Derail chat, and it can be another thing, and. We can go round. But the dude had my name and his name. He was obviously a troll. Anyway. But yeah, no, it was showed on stream and nobody noticed. And good luck finding it.
I mean, several people noticed, but...
Several people did notice, but they haven't said anything, which I'm proud of them.
Oh, a couple of people said it in chat earlier, but...
Yeah, I don't remember. I didn't even see it. And honestly, people toss out so many names that people probably couldn't even figure out what it was. You had to be there, Aeromancer. You just had to be there, man.
I mean, he was there.
Yeah, he was there. What do you mean, what stream was this? Anyway. Anything else for the stream before we get out of here?
No, yeah. um, I don't know. Just,
Rocky, that's not even what it's called, man. I'm disappointed. What were you saying?
Jakob, I've given like 18,000 clues, including holding the name up on a sheet of paper. Like, what more do you want from me, man? Come on. And someone named a name that rhymes with in chat at like 10 comments ago. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I just realized that guy that I banned, I just realized why he said what he said was because you were hating on his sources. I didn't even put two and two together. I thought he was just saying it just to say it. Whoops. Oh well, I don't take anything back. Take my name out of your name. If I see my name and your name...
No, you said name your source or whatever, and he was saying, why do I have to name my source? I don't like that either. Just unhide him.
No, he has my name in his name. He needs to come back with my name not in his name. He can make a new account. No problem. People do it all the time. We know that. The player is Jody Meeks.
Jody Meeks, yeah.
But I feel like that guy, I feel like we know him. I feel like that's somebody we know. Or he has a really bad source. I don't know. I don't care. I'm going to start just banning people for the hell of it. Because, honestly, Eric, at this point, even though I try and be extremely, extremely fair with who I block and who I ban, people will still come in here and say I'm completely unfair with it. So why don't I just ban whoever I want to ban whenever I feel like banning them? Right? Chat, doesn't that make sense? Like, I don't get credit for being fair anyways, so might as well not care. Do you disagree with that, Eric? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't like banning anyone, but unless they're like spamming Hitler, like people want to do for no reason.
Yeah. I mean, we don't ban people unless they deserve it, but at this point, derailing chat should be... Disrupting the ecosystem is a problem, right?
Yeah.
You're just saying, yeah, you don't actually agree with me. Okay, well...
Cobra, come on, man. Not cool, not cool.
We need to ban that word. I don't know why YouTube hasn't banned that word anyways, but...
Don't do that again, Cocadabra.
Also, we probably shouldn't say that word on stream, because YouTube might be like, ooh, demonetized.
Yeah.
Strike. Copy. I don't know. Anyway.
Aeromancer, please delete your comment above too. Like, we don't need our mods telling the name.
Yeah.
Or rhymes with name. It's okay for other people to do it because I can't control everyone. But...
Well, you are a figurehead. You are a figurehead of the cult, so you are very visible, Aeromancer, because your name is blue.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't want the mods to do it. Chat's fine because they're... Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, chat's fine because it's chat, because they don't actually know. Anyway. We'll be live tomorrow, and it'll be a more cohesive stream. It'll be on our second channel, Blazers Uprise Live. 3:30 p.m. Pacific time is when we're doing that. And then, yeah, I don't know. I don't like middle of the day streams, man. I hate them. I hate that I just wasted like 4.5 hours on this team.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you want to say?
Well, thanks everyone for watching, even through these horrible times as a Blazer fan. And yeah, hopefully we get some good news or something about a Jeremy Grant extension in the next couple days to make somewhat positive news. And hopefully Gary plays next game and we do well in this homestand. But man, it's been rough lately.
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to go get out of the house for the first time today. Maybe see some sunlight before it disappears. And maybe get an ounce of vitamin C. You guys should do the same if you're over here on the West Coast. But Yeah, anyway, it's been a good stream. Not really. It's been fine. It's been fine. It's been fun to hang out with you guys, as always, and kind of rant about a couple things. And this team just can't win a game, and we're below 500. We start 10 and... I don't even remember. I don't want to remember. I don't remember what we started, but we're under 500. That's what it is. Still not halfway through the season. That's coming up in a couple of games. Blazers have 10 of their next 11 games at home, so at least it won't be early start times, and at least we'll be able to see our beautiful home floor. And hopefully our fans will be in games like Toronto's was tonight, because despite them being 16-23 coming into this game, their fans were into it.
Mm-hmm.
So Blazer fans, I don't know. It seems like when they struggle, a lot of them fall by the wayside, unfortunately. So I'll still be here. Hopefully you're still here as well, and we will just ride this freaking roller coaster together. Anyway, that's a wrap, I think. That's a wrap. You good?
Yep.
Cool.
Stream tomorrow after the game Tuesday, 2 on Thursday, then Saturday, Sunday. So lots of streams this week.
Yep, looking forward to it. Hopefully looking forward to some more wins. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your Sunday. And we are out of here. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.